My son drank that, oh, my son drank that stuff for quite a while, and then, we're not recording, are we? Oh, never mind. You're gonna edit that, right? Okay, good. All right, welcome all to the December 7th meeting of the Board of Water and Sewer Commissioners. As always, we open with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Minutes from November 3rd.
Chair, make a motion to accept the minutes for November 3rd. I'll second it.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, the 3rd or the 2nd?
What?
The meeting.
This was,
Second. My apologies.
it says November 2nd on the top.
Yeah. But-
Oh, in the agenda, it says
Yes,
November
sir.
3rd.
Yep.
Okay, yep. For the November 2nd meeting. Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Okay. Number 4 isn't here. I guess we'll push it back on the agenda just to... And then number 5. Hello.
Oh, water department.
Right. And you are,
I am Mark Molesky,
okay, and,
John Vangos.
okay, well, we were just getting to that point of the agenda, and then I heard laughing down the hall, and so we held off. Okay, Mark Molesky,
Yes, sir.
you're up. Please sign in on the sheet there on the table, and you can have a seat. Okay, so it says here you are disputing a $300 fine.
Yes, sir.
What was that?
It was an unpinned meter.
Unpinned meter? Okay. And that's the first offense?
Yes.
Okay. So, the so what, we have a policy, you know, so you were fined $300 for,
It said, it said $300 fine. So
Right.
I questioned that. I
Okay.
wasn't sure what that was all about.
okay, and was that explained to you by,
They said the text said that I had an unpinned meter at the time when they changed it from the old style to the new style that they went around and did.
Okay.
Everyone's,
okay, when was his meter replaced?
On the other form, it shows the meter change out.
It was within 90 days.
Yep.
I know that because I did do a data log on it, and I didn't have the last 3 days on it, so that's 91 days.
Okay, so,
that date I do not have. I have it on.
George, can I see? It's on there.
oh, first reading was 11/4/22.
Can I see that for 1 second, please?
No,
Thank you.
it's-
Oh, it would be on here.
Read import on 7/12/2022.
Transferred 8/30/2022.
8/30/22?
It was transferred.
Because it started at 0?
Thank you.
8/30.
Just trying to find it. There's a new new format, it's,
On the second page.
It says transfer.
oh, okay, all right. Oh, okay, billing date was 11/4, okay. Reading date was 8/30. Okay, so, and it was pinned when it was changed?
It's an ultrasonic now, so you can't unpin it.
Okay, so, it was found unpinned in
It
August.
was unpinned, and there was dryer lint and other substances underneath the register head for a loop.
Okay. And,
That's my washer and dryer right there. I took a picture this morning to show where it is, if you want to see. It was hard to get a really good picture because it's underneath that shelving next to the dryer. And I bought this house when I moved here to Dudley in 1999.
okay.
I bought it just as it is. Nothing's been changed or adapted by me. That's the way it was when I bought it.
Okay,
So you lived there since '99 with no long periods of vacancies, or you haven't been away for a month or two at a time?
Vacations here and there, but nothing,
So somebody's always been living there?
yeah. I've had a water bill every quarter since 1999.
okay. Okay,
So the easiest way to go about this is, if you open up to the history,
Yeah, so in,
the last page is this one.
okay, yeah.
so if you look at 4/10/2019, 1/8/2019, 10/31/2018, 7/28/2018, 4/18/2018, all those have the same reading, so you didn't use any water for 5 billing cycles,
And then if you go
a
down.
year and a half, you didn't use any water?
And then if you go down to 7/10/2020, for 2 cycles, there is no usage.
Right.
Right,
And then in 4/1 of
21,
2021,
there's
for
3
3 cycles, there no usage. And you're familiar with,
So he's just been
receiving a
standard service fee?
after a period of time,
And nothing?
0.001% will actually
Pick up now.
go in our favor and read higher than what it should be. Most of the time, after a span of years, it will degrade and start reading in the customer's benefit after 10 to 12 years, losing what, 5 to 10% of the catch of the water going through. And then occasionally, things will clog, and because of debris and whatnot may go in there, it will seize up and it will no longer work. It will not start working again. So if it happened to, a 1 in a million happened to do that, it would happen to do it once, twice, and 3 times. So the explanation of why you had no usage for those periods of time, and then all of a sudden there was usage again.
I'm just having a hard time reading all this. From what were we talking?
The first 5,
The first 5?
Yep.
Here?
yes.
Yep.
See the reading at the very, on the farthest column are all the same. So if the reading's all the same, that means you've used no water for
36,800, 36,800.
that's for
a year and
12, 15 months.
15, okay.
And then if you go down another 4, and then you have
That's-
4,500, 900 twice, so you have another
Yeah,
period. of
7/10,
time.
yeah, it's 7/10/2020.
And then you have usage, and then you don't have usage again. The way it is, that they won't work like that. I've never seen it work like that.
I haven't in 30 years.
Well, when was that meter put in to that house?
Probably.
Before I bought it.
Most likely it was
It was
either
done.
changed when you bought it, or at least it was a final read, but I'm willing to bet it was probably changed. in
I don't
99.
believe it was changed when I bought the house. I had home inspection done, I've had home inspection.
It would have been done at the final, so you wouldn't have been
Yeah.
involved.
It would have been before you bought it.
Yeah, it would have been before you bought it.
Previous owner.
Mark,
calls
when did you
for
buy
a
this
final
house?
reading.
When?
When did you buy the house?
99.
I thought it didn't.
Okay, the meters were started to be put in around 95, 94, 95, 96. That's when
Okay.
we started putting in the beginning systems, we call it, the earlier systems. So you probably had one of those in there.
Well,
The touchpad
I didn't
reading.
Unpin it or alter it, or I changed the washing machine, maybe I bumped it, maybe that caused it to do that. I've changed the washing machine, the water heater, and the dryer are all in there. Those have all been changed over the last few years. I put up that set of shelving that's there for canned goods and whatnot. And when I bought, it's got some brown wire coiled up on the pipe itself.
That is the old reading.
That went to the-
wire.
Yeah, that goes-
That's the wire, the touchpad outside.
That goes to outside,
Can
yep.
I ask a question?
Sure.
From what I understand, if it turns, it doesn't read.
No, if it's
So
off
if I
it,
bumped it,
no, if it turns, it'll still read. If it was
You have
off
to take
of
it off of it.
it won't read.
oh. Don't know.
On these 5 billing periods they started off with, did he pay any?
He
You would have paid the minimum.
he paid the base
Base
rate.
service fee.
You would have paid the base rate.
No usage.
Base rate, no usage, yeah.
And we didn't pick up on that?
That is,
Back then, we really didn't have, other than going in and actually reading the meter.
that's right around when I started doing the meter changeouts, and that January of 2019 is when I was out for,
I wasn't here.
I was in the hospital for a while, and then
Yes.
it popped back up.
Yeah. And I
And
was,
that's when, while we were doing the mass changeout, we were catching a couple here and there, and that's when it became prevalent of how many were unpinned and not on at that point, and that was the major catch.
Okay.
He was actually on the list to be changed out because his meter number his old meter number began with 148,
Yep,
which are the ones that are dying right now, that are past expiration.
Yeah.
The end of their life expectancy for the batteries.
right.
And that's probably why it's on the list and not anything else. And that's how we're getting in and looking at and changing them. But that's why also, instead of doing a similar one where you can unpin and change those, we're going with the ultrasonic on everything, because you can't unpin them.
There's nothing that doesn't come apart.
Do you say mine was the first to be changed, on the list of one of the first to be
No.
changed? Because
No, it was,
you just
we
said
did
it
a
was
map.
on the list of the first to be changed because the battery was due to run out.
Was on this next cycle. The original ones that we changed out because people still had touchpads. Remember when people would come up and walk through, we would walk
To
through
the
and they
back,
would,
to the back of the house, a
Yeah.
little black.
yeah, we'd have to walk them to that. We changed all of those out, which was about 1,500 of them. And now the next little cycle of us grabbing them was anticipating that the 148s were at the end of their life expectancy and they should be changed.
Okay, so you changed it simply because it was time.
It was
Yep.
time.
But then that's what brought up the fact that it was unpinned and
Yeah, when they went in to change the meter, they found the meter unpinned.
Yeah.
unpinned, and then you looked at the history. Okay. So, we've had a number of instances in the past. Every meter is pinned. They're pinned when they're put in.
They come from the factory pin.
Okay,
Originally though, when they were changing out in 99 and stuff, they weren't changing the base, they were only changing registers and heads.
In
Okay.
99, that's when I bought the house.
okay,
In that period of time, we weren't changing
Yeah.
bases.
Right, that's key, because that's when he bought his house.
okay, so,
Well, he's saying the 99 because in
Yeah.
that time period,
Okay.
so they could have been doing it in 89, but
Yeah.
in 99, they were not changing full meters.
But for instance, on that is, then, my problem is that there's no usage. If there was constant usage, right now, from my data log on his house and the couple of years, the couple of quarters that he did use, the non-summer months, he uses about 1,500 cubic feet. Summer months is about 2,000 to 2,100. If he had that regularly throughout the whole entire time and there was an unpinned meter, okay, you could give a benefit of the doubt. The issue now is that we have 3 periods of no use where you'd have to take the meter head off the register and remove it in order for it not to spin with the magnets that are inside. It couldn't be in contact. That's
It's the only way you get a 0 reading. Either it seizes up and makes a 0 reading, or it.
So the first thing that I do is, if we have an unpinned when we see them, take a look and see what the situation there is. And then look at the history. Because there is a possibility back then, it could have been, Al Baker went in, or whatever else at the time, with Lenny, and they didn't put a pin in there, but they've had normal usage throughout the whole entire period of time. And then you look at probably the next 6 months down the road, you give them a little bit of a doubt, and there's still the same usage, it just means there happened to be a mistake. If it was unpinned and all of a sudden you put it back in, now it's pinned, he's tripled the usage in the next 6 months, it says there's something funny went on, maybe. When there's no usage, that means, in my opinion, the register had to be removed from the base in order for it not to spin and show movement of water.
Would it not do the same thing if it was bumped from changing the washing machine and dryer and water heater and building shelves there?
Unless they bumped it and knocked the head off of the meter, then it wouldn't do that.
That would have to be a unique kind of hit though, too.
But I mean, you would notice it,
Because it
have
has
to
to
pick it
turn.
up and put it back on, because you had it where it registered flow
I can't even fit in there.
at different periods.
Okay. All right, so.
If it stopped working, then that's an issue, but
Typically, when they stop working, they stop.
they
programming.
stopped. But
Yeah,
this
they-
was off for,
It stopped, then it started, then it stopped, then it started.
They don't work that way. Okay, so, all right, what's the pleasure of the board?
You happen to take the meter apart after?
You changed the meter, what happened to the old meter?
You keep the register and then toss the,
Body?
yeah.
I don't know how else it would stop working if the meter was, the head wasn't off.
Correct.
Okay, so the bottom line here is, by looking at this, looking at the history, and the fact that the pin was removed from the meter, do you know if the pin was on the floor next to it or anything like that? Did he say whether or not he found the pin?
No, I don't have any of that. Usually, with this type of history,
Yep.
I'm not so much concerned about the actual unit at that point anymore.
No, I just didn't know if the pin had been picked up.
What is it? Is it like a cotter pin or?
It's a plastic pin, much like what's on your electric meter.
So, punches in, and it spreads out, and so it locks in there. The only way to take it off is to take a screwdriver or a pick or something else like that, and hit it in, and basically break it.
Break it.
And that, so it can't be reused.
Brian, was a piece of a pin still in there? Or there was nothing, was there nothing but a clear?
See what I'm saying? I bought this house like this. I didn't change this. I can't physically fit my body in there to access it. I have a shut-off valve above it that I can reach over the washing machine to shut the water off, to do any plumbing work or anything in the house. I have changed appliances down there, changed the washing machine that's like 3 inches away from it, changed the water heater down there, the dryer, built the shelf that's next to it, that's over it. Could have been bumped or hit in the process. It's not the most beautiful room of the house, it's just the laundry room. That picture that you're looking at, that's the new meeting that's existing in there now.
Right. Okay, so the bottom line here is that it takes some effort to take the pin out. The issue, I mean, we can't go back, over the last 4 years, there have been 3 instances of, over multiple periods of time, no usage. That indicates to us that that head was taken off, and then put back on.
Could that perhaps have been a time when I changed one of the appliances?
It would have to,
And
it doesn't just fall off, they lock on.
Do you have the
They-
date when you
they
changed the
turn.
appliance?
huh?
Do you know the date you changed the appliance?
I didn't,
A year?
I didn't bring, didn't bring it with me.
Do you know what year you changed it?
I've changed all 3 of them multiple times. That's probably my 3rd washing machine.
But
The point is, I didn't unpin it. I don't even know how to unpin it. So I probably, most likely bought the house like that. I had a home inspection done. Nobody told me anything about when the inspector inspected it, and it was a home inspector from Dudley. I can't, because it was 23 years ago. He was from here in Dudley.
The home inspector wouldn't catch that, though.
no,
No.
it wouldn't
You
be
guys
doing
would
that.
have checked, you would have caught on the final reading though, right?
On the final, well, yes. Well, the final reading could have been, that's when they would have done from the touchpad over to the new radio box, well, the
Right.
newer radio boxes at the time.
Mhm.
And that would have been, actually, and I wouldn't have, it could have been plausible at that time that for the span of 30 years, that it was just unpinned and just sat like that and never registered. But for it to turn on and off again, that's the dilemma right now, that you guys have to determine.
Okay,
I will, when we found ones, and if I can legitimately disqualify it from being an unpinned, it's unpinned, but there is something reasonable. I've been able to backtrack when we did pool meters and gone back to find the houses that, look, they still had their normal usage. Yes, they had a pool meter that they had over here 5 years ago. Plausible that nobody unpinned this back at the time. They came and they put it back on. And they didn't go over in the house. The homeowner was nice enough to put it back on. But to take it on and on, to be on and off, that is the issue right now. For you guys to determine.
okay, like I started to say twice now, the only way that this can, the only explanation, lack of any other explanation for there to be no usage for large swatches of time and then having usage without anything else happening. The only thing that can do that is to remove that head. I don't see any other way that that can happen. I've never heard of any other way that that can happen, and just knowing that the mechanics and the hydraulics of how these meters work, they don't just start and stop. They don't flow backwards, they don't, water goes through them in one direction only, and that magnet spins. If it doesn't, then it means it's seized up or broken, and it doesn't unseize or unbreak. It has to be replaced. So,
This is why we replaced them all.
well, we replaced them all because they're newer, and
The batteries are due to die.
actually now with the newest meters, we can drive up and get data on it. If we set the data logger on, we can actually see data by the hour.
Meters should be changed out every 10 to 12 years, just in being responsible.
Just for maintenance.
For maintenance sake.
It hasn't. To my knowledge, my son's
Dudley was
23,
behind a little bit.
and I bought it when my
Yes.
son was born in 20.
Yes, and you know, we were lax on that for a long time, and then we started. We got serious about it, and we're in, pretty close to totally changed over, aren't we?
Yes, I'm 99.2%.
I wish they had told me.
Okay, so,
When you whack a pin out, a piece of wood.
I don't know what anybody else's opinion is here. You go either way, to be
I
honest.
have a printout.
He doesn't know the pieces, so I can't think.
I know which ones you're talking about, yeah.
But if you do based on his average usage, if you go back and do the math on the ones that didn't have reads or zero, he saved about 17,000 cubic feet.
That's for what I got.
What's the bill for 17,000 cubic feet?
I don't know off the top of my head. Not sure.
463.
What's the rate at?
Well,
There's different rates. at
Yeah,
different
they say,
times.
Yeah.
Yeah,
to
the rates
factor
go
that
back.
out over the years, it would,
Um,
It would all, I think every one of those would be on the first tier.
what's the first tier
What's the
rate?
sewer?
463.
What?
463
463.
right now.
So that would have been at least,
800, 814.88.
yeah.
That's just the water. You get
Sewer,
sewer too,
yeah,
right?
sewer.
We should have been billed
Mhm.
800 and,
That's just for the water, and then the sewer.
So it would be another,
But
$4.12.
my look back can only go
Yeah.
to the 4/10 of 2019.
yep,
I can only go back 3 years,
yes.
so that 1 year is lost,
Okay, so,
no matter what.
I said, there, where you don't have an explanation for it, the only explanation we can have is that that head's been removed and then put back on. The fact that when the operators were in there to change it, they found that there was a considerable amount of dirt between the head and the meter. That doesn't just work itself in there. Dust falls on a flat surface.
It's a dirty, filthy corner of the house.
Well,
It's
that's-
somewhere that's inaccessible to clean, to vacuum, to sweep.
Okay,
The way a head sits on a meter, it's a raised thing, and this goes down over it and locks into place, so.
the dirt's not gonna work its way in,
Possible that
The
it
lint
was-
to get up on top of that is nearly impossible.
up inside, between the two pieces. That's, it just, I just don't see any other explanation.
So do you think I unpinned it and did this to it?
we're not accusing you of doing
How
it,
else would it happen? I bought the house
Yeah.
like this.
but the only, for us to make a decision,
Since 1999, has anyone come and looked at it?
for us to make a decision, we have to look at the facts. We can't treat you different than
Right.
our
For
own.
whatever
neighbors.
reason, the meter obviously wasn't working, then started working and stopped working.
The only honest explanation I could have for that is when I changed the appliances, when I moved that washing machine that's like that close to it, jockeying it into position, the one that was in there before was a front loader type. That thing was dancing the jig all over the place, so I had to have that removed. It probably knocked into it. Maybe that knocked into it. Maybe that knocked the pin thing loose or something.
Okay, if the head comes off, though, somebody's gotta put it back on
To make it work again.
to make it work again, because it starts back up, and that's the bottom
Mark,
line.
what they're getting at is here is you have a sequence of bills here that are the same. Then you all of a sudden got some usage. Then all of a sudden you've got another string.
So maybe it got knocked off.
It wouldn't work like that. It'd be off totally till we come out and put it back on, or get the idea.
Till somebody puts it back on, and it doesn't just rest on there. Don't they quarter turn? Don't they turn into place?
Yeah, for the quarter turn, yes. And I've had a conversation with Neptune, that's the.
They don't fall off, they don't fall off.
It's,
It doesn't matter what position it's
No.
in, because it works off of a magnet.
Right,
So it doesn't matter where it is. When this
Yeah.
magnet spins, this magnet spins.
right.
and Neptune's opinion also is that meters don't, once they stop, they don't
Yeah, they don't.
restart.
They don't restart. So it's, the head's been removed and put back on numerous times. So, at this point, I can't, unless somebody else wants to make a motion to waive the fine.
I don't see justification.
I won't make that.
I make the motion that the fine has to stand.
I don't see justification for not, because there's, the first one is 5 billing cycles, and you had said that, I mean, you went on vacation, but there was always somebody in the house.
That's for a year and a half.
Yeah, a year and a half.
That's over a year, not quite a year and a half. But, okay, so a motion's been made anyways to let the fine stand.
I'll second.
There's a second. Okay, any further discussion?
So how long do I
Okay.
have to come up with?
All in favor? One more. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
No, I don't oppose, I was going with it.
Okay, that's 4-0. Yeah, the payment is through the Treasure Collector's Office. And that's,
The
yeah,
good news is they will take payment plan. You will, you can set up with
I'll need a
them.
payment plan, I only work 15 hours a week.
Yeah, and
I work
whatever.
for the town of Dudley.
okay. Okay, John Van Gos. I took a drive-by there on, I see the picture, and
I'll explain this.
I took a drive-by there on Monday morning.
Just to give you guys an idea what this situation is. This house at 2 Chase Ave is right on the Webster line, right on the river, right behind Cindy's Pub, to the right back of Cindy's Pub, if you're looking at Cindy's Pub.
Just on the other side of the
Yeah.
parking lot, driveway.
And this is from, I won't mention whose records from way back, but it was difficult to decipher some of this, but I was able to get a general idea how this line works. Cross Street comes down, and there's a hydrant 3/4 of the way down Cross Street, right next to Cindy's Pub,
Right.
by the gate, by the fence line. The main ends, the 6-inch main ends, just up from that hydrant. Then there's a 1-inch plastic line that runs out from that end cap, makes like a little bit of a loop, down a little bit from the hydrant, straight into a T, which is about, say, 3 feet, 4 feet from two curb stops. This T actually turns his pipe into a 3/4 inch plastic, makes an upward turn, like going up, across a little bit, around the other curb stop, or line that goes into Cindy's, down to the lower curb stop. From there, it takes a loop, and I believe it must go down in front of Cindy's. I can't see it going under Cindy's, but it must go down, and then I would assume if they were smart, they ran it down in front of the sidewalk out to the house, which is approximately 230 feet of plastic 3/4 inch pipe. As I explained, this is done by Gunther and Sabai back, I don't know, 80s or 70s, 80s, whatever he did it. I don't know who authorized this through the water department. This is a very difficult situation here, but it's understood that whoever does these things is through their own custody. It's up to them to maintain the line. If there are any problems with the line, sometimes we can assist a little bit, but there's nothing we do as far as repair these lines. The customer is the sole responsible party, which should have been explained to this homeowner or whoever owns the house at the time this line was put in. This is a very difficult situation. I'm sure they couldn't put a well in, and the main does not run down Chase Ave. The main stops at that end cap. By the main stopping at that end cap, there's constant issues with dirty water up that area. And I sometimes think and you see on the bottom I have some stats, They've been there for numerous dirty water calls, low-pressure calls. I'm also thinking somewhere down the line, this is the old black plastic, and the pipe might be degrading a little bit through the course of the years. But for now, for the argument's sake, when he called me a couple months ago, we were in the middle of our tank projects where we couldn't go flushing water at all for a good many months. I did, however, try to flush a little bit of that area lightly and had him encourage him to run some water through his line until he could clear it out. He does have filters in there, so they're aware when they did this that they put filters in because of the problem they were having way back in the day. This is kind of the first time I know of it being an ongoing issue. I can't say back when in the day, before I came or whatever. I don't remember myself going there when I first came on board too much, or maybe one time or whatever. But aside from that, this is the problem we're up against. The water department flushes twice a year. They flush in October and they flush in April. And right now, because of the issues we've been having with our tank projects, there's been a lot of rusty type colored water in the area, okay?
Down there,
This past few months, many months. We did a full flush a couple months ago. I again sent somebody over there today to take a good flush of the area. There was still some dirty water in the area, so he hasn't flushed his line, but I wanted to see what we were up against again up there. So the water was dirty, it was that rusty, dirty color. With all the commotion of our stations and tanks and things, we're trying to clean as much as we can. But the situation is going to be very difficult, any way you look at it, to maintain cleanliness in this line. Because in order to clean this line thoroughly, you have to fully do the whole neighborhood, and you fully have to let his line go for a while, which means a lot of water loss to clean it up, okay?
That's 200, you say it's about
230 feet.
But the other thing is, we haven't had any water quality complaints from cities, have we?
No.
City's still open?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
No complaints at all. The only time we get a complaint in the area is if we do flush until they let the water run. Cities has never complained. Nobody on any of the houses around the area with Central
Low
Ave.
pressure.
So that is a yes and no.
When did you buy the house?
I bought the house in 2000 and I think 15, in that time frame, 14, 15,
Okay.
Who'd you buy it from?
auction.
You want to get in?
No auction, so you never would have.
So back in the day, they did this because whoever had built the house, or Gunther and Savoy, because that was the name on the reports, had no other way to gain water for the house. They probably couldn't tap a well in there. They're right on the river.
Yeah, it wasn't 5 years ago, it wasn't 10 years ago.
No, this was way back in the 80s, but this has been the first time.
Well, even before the 80s, the house wasn't built in the 80s.
I don't know when the house was built, but I do know
It
this
wasn't built in the
line.
80s, it was rehabbed in the 80s.
Okay, well, whatever they did, they had to have water somehow, so they.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's been there for a long time.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, whoever authorized them
The
to,
design of the water going from that main to the house is not up to current standards.
Acceptable.
So the problem is you're after the hydrant on that.
I understand, but this is my problem. My problem is, I pay a boatload of money every quarter
Yeah.
because of usage, right? And I got no problem paying the money. I'm not here for that reason. My concern is that I put in a filter because every toilet, shower, sink is dark. I can't have them cleaning every other day.
yeah.
So I put in a filter, a whole house filter, and that whole house filter, believe it or not, it's the coarsest one I can buy. Not fine, coarsest one I can find, clogs in 2 weeks, maybe 3. I was gonna swing by and pick it up because they just changed it last week.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it does.
So what happens is, they don't have any water. So I said, bypass it. Bypass the filter and go straight, so at least you get to use the bathroom, right? So, and then I come down, and it's usually about a month, but now it's been even more, maybe because you're flushing the lines. But I got no problem paying for the water. Look, I'm not here arguing.
Okay.
I
No,
just
it's
need
not, we
to
don't take
pay
that
the
as,
clean water.
hold on, Brian. The issue is two things. One is you've got a long line, it's only a 3/4 inch line going
I
out
don't
there.
think it's the line, I'm sorry to say. I think it's the feed to the line. All that
It's
sediment is
matter
not
of the.
200 feet of
I know, but
line.
you don't understand. The feet of the line is the end cap of the main, which is always gonna have,
That's not my
So-
issue.
what's your issue?
That's your issue. How is that my issue?
No, it's not, it is your issue, because that end cap feeds your feed your service.
That's your system. I'm all connected to it. Why should I get dirty water?
Because
Because I'm at the end. That's
we
not
don't know
right.
how your
Okay,
line.
all right.
We don't know if your line's degrading, we don't know anything about
It
your line.
can't be.
We,
200 feet of plastic water is not causing enough sediment to clog up a filter in 2 weeks. Come on now. Right?
Okay,
The way the system was built was after the hydrant, there's a stub there. Okay, we can't physically clean that out all the way. We have to let your line run as much as possible and flush that whole area as best as possible. I did that the other couple months. I gave that whole area a complete flush
You
down.
told me to run it. I ran in
Yeah,
July.
and was it much better after I'd flushed? I said, I flush my area, you run your line,
Yeah.
see how it was. How was it after that?
Well, it wasn't much better. I mean, it lasted a
Are
little
the-
longer, but it, the.
are the leak detection folks still in town?
No.
And it'll be hard to find.
Can't think with plastic.
I think,
Well, what's the
let's
pressure
focus
there?
on a solution.
Pressure there's pretty good in that area.
No, that's it. I mean, we can stand here and yell at each other all night. and it's
What are you
not
looking
gonna
for, a
solve
leak,
anything. That's what I mean.
You
Is
think
there,
that-
is there
a break in the line?
a break in that? Because if it is that old black plastic pipe, and it's been there since the 80s, then chances are,
Well,
again, it's not our line.
there's one
but
way for us to get some idea what's going on. Because the way it's tapped with Cine off that same line is, I told Jen, I want to get into Cine's and see if they're having discoloration and problems in sediment. And
they
or,
may just be filtering it and not saying anything.
who knows, but we can go in and take a look at that.
They've got a
See what
short
that
run,
happens.
though. They've got
We'll
a very
start
short
there,
run
but
at Cine's.
Also,
But it's still off that end cap.
responsibly, and me and George talked about before, is we should put a meter pit where, over here, that we would have to absorb the cost, put the proper meter pit in and make it current, what we would do, and put it there. But ones, should we tap, let's,
It should be tapped before the
Yeah,
hydrant.
but Cindy's is a 1-inch line, he's got a 3/4 inch off a T before that setup. That's
Is that under the road or is that in the?
under the road. That's
it's gonna be
before
a
the
little
two
bit of a
curb stops.
project, and we've just got to road closure time, like we can't do.
They can't dig
No,
now.
they can't do it, no.
But I think getting into Cine's would give us a lot of information. And see what they have.
Cindy's has never called us on any problem at all,
Yeah.
we can check, but they've never called us on any issue as far as, they would have
But
called us.
also, they have a lot of probably filtration, we get us going through all the bar stuff and everything else, so
I
maybe
don't
have a
know.
pre-filter that she's just changing out, absorbing the cost. We can go in and take a look and give us an idea of what's going on.
Okay, so
But-
we'll work with you to try to figure out, but,
Well, my other concern though is
Yeah.
that if Cine's has really good pressure, and then he doesn't have really good pressure over there,
I have
I
good
think
pressure.
his pressure is because his filter's plugged.
no, he had bad pressure before that too.
He had bad pressure at the meter.
Before that.
At the meter?
Yeah.
I had it before. My pressure before the meter, when you guys, one of your texts came out, is like 120 PSI.
Yeah,
So
the area's good.
pressure before the meter, before your meter.
Yeah.
But it's, it's 5 apartments. And, there's usage, it pulls down on that pressure because it
Sure.
reduces down. But that filter, the filter helps with the sediment, but it clogs up. I mean, I just did it the other day. The other day, it was like 2.5 weeks, and she called me and said, I don't have any water pressure. I said, go downstairs and bypass. So I called her back, did that work? Goes, yep, that worked, and the filter's clogged. Okay, the next day I go by, take the filter cartridge out, put the new cartridge in, we're up and running. And that was the last week. I didn't have time, but I was gonna swing by and pick it up and bring it here. It's only a week, and it's not full, but it's pretty dark.
okay,
The problem is it was connected, your line was connected down here. Around, there's no way, usually it's a loop system. So you're not getting, the water isn't sitting there dirty.
Right.
You're at the end of the line. This was,
And when
Only
they
what-
flush, they're flushing before that section that
So
you're
I just get the end.
Yeah, the only way I can guarantee, at least get the end cap cleaned up, is to put a blow off to the wood side of the woods with a 1-inch plastic line, and allow us with a curb stop to blow it off every so often.
That's
That would
It's
just,
still gonna be an issue, though. You
yeah, I
need
mean,
to tap them.
it's always gonna get dirt in that area just by the way the water keeps going to the end of the line and not getting used on that street.
Right.
There's nobody else, Cindy's the only only two using that basically in that section of the
So you
street.
need to tap it up prior to the hydrant. Or theoretically, you could tap the hydrant branch. which I don't like to do,
I don't like, I think it'd be, I mean,
but if he got dirty water, you come down and flush, and it's gonna clear everything out of that hydrant coming through there.
that whole conglomeration where he's got there is a real mess.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, and then, and if it turns out that there is a problem with that 3/4 inch line that wraps in front of Cindy's over to the house, that's not our pipe.
That's yours.
That's yours. That belongs to
That
the
when you
property
bought
owner.
ours.
The fact that it's under somebody else's
Listen,
property, yeah.
Listen, hear me
Okay,
clearly. I
okay.
understand.
Okay.
I don't want it to be mine, but if it's
Yeah, yeah,
I
ooh,
can't control
okay,
what comes into my pipe.
right.
Now, if you guys are thinking that that pipe is causing the sediment, it's not. Plastic pipe doesn't create
It doesn't
sediment.
create sediment, right.
So it's coming to me
No, but if there was a crack in the plastic line,
and pulling dirt.
it could suck sand or dirt in.
Yeah.
You would expect it to surface somewhere, but you're near the river, and I've had them before where you have a break and it just runs to the river and you never identify it, it never surfaces.
That's why I asked,
So it's just a possibility that is that.
we have a leak detection company that comes in ultrasound. They check
You have
check
the
pipes
acoustic-
Also,
in
that's
areas
why
going for
ideally
leaks.
we want a meter pit there, because then unfortunately a large bill and/or during the reads, we'd be able to identify it just on.
You'd pick up a break in
Picking up
that
with
line.
the-
Pick up a break in that line.
Right, right. Well, I did have an increase in usage this last quarter. So I don't know, no one's changed, same tenants have been there. And I've gone from 800 or 850 to,
Did you?
It's in there.
Yeah,
It's
it
in
won't
there.
pitch any- There wouldn't pitch a leak, that's all.
No, it would, yeah, the leak would be, a leak in that pipe would be before your
Right,
meter.
right, right, right.
You'd never see it
Right,
in-
right.
in your
but I also
usage.
ran the water for your instructions, and it was like 1,200 gallons. So, you know, I'd be watering sewer on that, and that was just, I think the instructions were let it run for 24 hours. So with my usage rate, 24
Oh, yeah, that's
hours
gonna-
for a 3/4 or 5/8 inch hose,
So to fix that,
$1,200.
I would say you probably want to cut that back and put a 90 over to the hydrant, so there's no end cap, everything in that line gets flushed, and then tap him prior to that hydrant breach.
I think the end
When you have
cap
that
is,
little end cap, when you flush, all the sediment that comes down is gonna pack into that end cap,
It's just gonna sit there.
and it's just gonna continuously feed his line until it's all flushed out.
if I could, I'd rather do it on the T of the hydrant nipple itself,
Tap the hydrant branch.
the hydrant branch itself.
But I'm saying I would cut the main back
That's
prior to
way
the
out.
hydrant and then 90 it in. And then you can tap the hydrant branch if you want. But you gotta tap it before the hydrant valve.
Well,
So that the hydrant it becomes the end of the line, so it pulls everything out of there.
Right, so you're flushing the entire
Yeah,
line out, there's
it's-
nothing to catch any sediment.
well, that being said, is we're at the road closure point.
Oh, I know, you
So-
can't
so
open the
We can
road.
do this till spring, so we can figure out a design or anything else to help them out, but that's March, April. I mean,
Okay,
So he's gonna have
take-
at least, so,
Can you, is there anything that we can do to
Just keep flushing
Find out if
flushing the area, and
find out if there's a leak in that line to the house?
if you run some water, if they have a sensitive enough, I mean, I don't think plastic's gonna hear too well, but you could ask them,
So-
try.
If you can go to his place and shut his valve at the meter, and then go on the curb stop,
You'll hear the rush of water.
listen to it, and
yeah.
if you shut it and the noise goes away, and then
Yeah.
you open it and there's noise, then,
My worry is to say it being plastic and the leak being here.
yeah, but no matter what, you're gonna have water rush through the valve while you're closing and opening. If you shut the
Yeah.
valve and the noise goes away, then there's water
Yeah.
flowing when you're shutting. If there's
Okay.
no change in noise, then there's not a leak. I mean, I would guess there's not a leak. but-
We've got instances of this in various areas of town.
Yeah, yeah. no,
It's not the right way to do things.
I'm
It's
not
the way it was
a new
done back in the day.
I've been around, but, you know, I don't mind, as I mentioned, I pay my bills, I do take care of business, but at some point in time, you say, you know,
Okay,
I'm paying for good water, why am I getting
we'll work,
clean good water?
we'll work with you
It might,
to,
it might be springtime that we can,
What are my choices?
I know.
Yeah.
I gotta have
But just,
water. What am I gonna say, I'm gonna turn off the water?
no,
no, we'll,
And I've
we'll,
owned it for a while, so, you know, I'm not here saying, or else, I'm gonna pick up the building and move it. So, I mean, I'm just, at some point in time, you know, you gotta speak up for yourself.
that,
I'm not-
we'll,
pointing fingers, I'm just saying, you know.
Okay, we'll work with you.
Any one of us was in your shoes, would be doing the same thing.
That's why I suggested that we absorb the cost of the meter pit, which is typically goes onto the homeowner or the developer at the time, because the fixes were passed wrong, and then we have a couple months to figure out how we want to retap this or reconfigure it. I think that's the answer. I mean, me and George talked about it in the thing, is God forbid, we could at least take the meter out of the meter pit and flush directly from there, and if that's good, then that tells us also there's a problem in this line.
Well, then, with a meter pit there, you can shut that line off. Or you can have a meter sitting there,
Yeah,
and then,
we'll see
and then
that.
shut off the house, and if
we'll
water
see
still
it's running.
flows,
Yeah, we'll be able to get data
water
from
still
right
flows,
now.
yes.
So,
What's the cost for the meter pit?
it's like $800.
And you have an actual meter pit, or is this on their building?
We have access to actual meter
Yeah,
pits.
the ones that Ty Sales has been using.
I was gonna say, if you order an actual one, it's about 16 weeks out, I think. I just ordered one.
Now, they hand make them themselves, so we have some on hold if we need.
Okay, we'll work with you to try, at least to try to determine if there's something wrong down there, and what we can do to make things good. And then you check with Cindy's and find out, are they just absorbing an issue down there?
Why don't we do this for the meantime? We'll unplug it, take his meter offline, and at intervals, you can flush your line as you see fit.
I can't take it offline, George.
Why?
It's ultrasonic. It means we don't. You can ask for them to give a rebate or whatever else, but it's metered water.
I would meter it, that way you account for it and just abate his bill.
Bait it, you want to bait it then?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, we'll go with the average. or
Just
something.
so we can get an idea what's going
So
on.
we can figure out what's going on, right?
How much are the filters?
So the filters are about $10 for a 2-pack. And sometimes I can get 4 weeks, but usually 3 weeks.
Can you just get us the make and the model of that, and we buy you enough filters to get us through a quarter?
No, it doesn't matter. I mean, I can buy filters.
Yeah, I mean, at least we could do that for the quarter.
Well,
Yeah.
we'll work the,
If we abate it, I can at least, if I want him to flush or do something, at least I don't have to worry about
Okay, yeah, we
the
do
bill
that.
part of it. So let's abate it till we can get the problem
Well, we're gonna
corrected.
So
abate
can I
the
abate-
flushing, right?
Can I
Yeah.
abate the?
I may flush here and may flush his line too. Same thing, try to work some of the crap out.
The 1,200 or whatever you said?
Yeah,
1,200 gallons?
1,250 gallons, yeah. I took pictures of the meter, date stamp, and it was literally
And we bill in 100 cubic feet.
1,250.
So it's 1.6 cubic, or 1.6 billion units, so it's like $6.
Can't be. No way.
For
Unless,
one,
actually, no, what's his,
He was
What's
probably
his
on the
there?
4th tier,
yeah, he might be on the higher tiers. 'cause
third
it's
tier,
not-
excuse me.
so if it was an average single-family house, it'd be roughly that.
This is 5 units.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it depends on what the usage is and what tier. it
He's up
triggers.
there, he's
I'm up there. I got
he's-
5 apartments.
he's on the 3rd tier.
Is he on the third?
Oh, yeah, he was
That's
at
why I
It was
showers every day.
at
I do laundry.
13 something,
1364?
so that's it, like $20 worth of water used.
1364,
Yep.
2188.
It cost me $800 a quarter. And this past quarter was 12 or 1,300 bucks. And there's been no change in number of people living there.
But the units that we bill in are 100 cubic feet. 100 cubic feet is 748 gallons.
Okay.
So, like, if you do the math, that's,
What I want to do also is when we're in there, sometime next week or whatever we can get in there with you, is to make sure nobody's using water and check and make sure you got no leaks to start.
I do.
You know how to do it with the through the meter?
No, I listen. So I shut the main off, and then I turn it on and see if anything draws. Nothing draws. I did have draws, and when I do, I go check which ones, if there's a problem, tell them to, check the toilet or change.
It's easier though, I can just come data log it for you, because what you're not seeing is if, you won't hear the slight little trickle
Oh,
of
you don't hear
toilet
the
fluid.
toilet.
Fill.
Oh, yeah.
Not running, but when it slightly leaks and then refills.
Sometimes the
that
fill
much.
valves are very quiet.
Yeah.
But I can see, when I see the data, when I pull the data, we don't have one for this thing.
No.
But I can see 93 days, every hour you use, so.
If you can help me, that'd be great.
Yeah, no,
That's my-
We'll work with you to try to figure out what you
No, I don't
want.
want to use more water than I need
It's-
to.
The best thing is with that is we can look at, typically we'll look at from like 1 AM to 4 or 5 AM.
Sure.
And if there's usage that's out of the norm, then we can see it. Like, if you all of a sudden you're using 100 gallons in the middle of the night, unless you have a third shift, like 10 person, then obviously you have a substantial leak or something.
right.
So,
Do you want it on the calendar for next week?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we'll work with you. They'll stay in touch with you.
All right, great.
Now, do you live there?
I do not live there.
You do not live there. Okay. Do they have your address, phone, well, the bill?
I have his
The
number.
billing information, okay.
And I have your number.
Okay, cool.
Thank
So
you.
we'll try to see if we can figure out what's going on there.
Yeah, whatever you can do, I'd appreciate it. Thank you very
Well,
much.
just mitigate it right now and fix it.
Yeah. Nobody should have to deal with dirty water.
Thank you for your time.
Okay.
Thanks for coming in.
Where's my agenda? Okay, J Billings, number 6 is lined out. Credit card, have we heard anything? Nope. Okay. Placeholder, I mean, again, it makes sense. Webster True Up follow-up. Okay, so since our last meeting, we had a meeting with Webster. 3 of us made it. One, I think, just plain out forgot, well, I'm not sure about Jay, but somebody else was in Connecticut.
Else forgot. That was on.
I called him, and I texted him, and I can't say what he texted back. But, yeah. In any case, we were there. Unfortunately, there's no minutes yet. They're in my hieroglyphics on the folder. But for folks who weren't there, we did talk extensively about history and the wish to simplify and make regular the true-up process. And I think that there was an hour and 8 minutes the meeting lasted, and I think it was very productive. And we have a proposed meeting 26th of January.
Write this down.
Yeah, write it down. Put an alarm in your phone.
So I don't carry my meeting minutes with me.
Yeah, so the 26th of January to discuss the true-up capital review and the road forward.
In Webster again?
In Webster, yeah.
And what time? Is it 6:30?
6:30, yes.
Okay. I'll post it, just so you have it.
So it was a very productive meeting. And we got some decent, I think we're going well. And in the meantime, Mr. Brinkman and Mr. Abraham have been communicating back and forth. There've been many emails. They're pushing information back and forth, and by our January, I believe, by our January meeting, Mr. Brinkman is planning on having some information for us.
See on the agenda for the coming?
I'll stay in contact with him and see if that's.
Is it going to be on our agenda?
Well, I'll work that out with him and see if, I don't know if he wants to come down here twice in January, if we can get some information from him.
Over at his house.
Maybe we can, road trip. Maybe we can zoom him in or do a phone call. But it's moving.
I'll drive, we'll take a road trip.
Yep. So, that's the true up. Warrant Article 20, that has been discussed at length with the town administrator. The town is going to be, on Monday night, be discussing the possibility of a special town meeting this winter.
This Monday?
This Monday. If so,
Are we going?
Yeah, sorry.
Whether or not we want to get the warrant article on there.
So what meeting?
That's Selectmen's meeting,
Monday.
next Monday night.
It's a joint Selectmen Capital Improvement FAA.
The capital approval was canceled. They didn't have a quorum.
Oh, really?
So I got the message.
Chairman, do we
I
want to
didn't
go
get
to
the
that?
email yet.
selectmen's meeting?
I don't know that,
You have time to post it, so.
we can post it for the purposes of all of us being there if we want to be. As far as, because the discussion will be based on the other needs for having that special town meeting. I'm not sure that they're going to be prepared or even want to discuss this, other than to get our warrant article on there. They've already said that they'll put our warrant article
But
on
if they,
again.
if they come out and say, well, they don't need a meeting for their warrant article, whatever they have to do, they might not schedule one just for us.
I mean, we can, if that's what the board wants, we can post a meeting for next Monday night.
To be safe, I'd post it. If we don't go, we don't go.
If it's not needed. I plan on being at the meeting. I mean, and to me, it, as taxpayers, we all have a right to be there. It's just a matter of not having, it's best to post.
So the purpose of
Because
going
we
there
can't
would be to
discuss.
this article. So.
Yeah. The job descriptions. We do have a copy of the sewer laborer job description. This is the one that is this is what's been approved by Labor Council and the union. It may not be the same as what we
It
originally.
hasn't been approved yet.
That's been approved.
That's not for the union. That's basically what the water department parallel one, right, George?
Yeah, that's close. The operator should be negated from that. It should just be sewer laborer,
Okay.
Okay.
because it's just basically coming in as an entry position. just
And
to start up.
that's what I've been wanting right along.
So was this sewer labor? or
Just sewer laborer, no operator.
Because in this, the first definition says the water labor,
I'm saying, that's, it gets so confusing. No, yeah,
and then under supervision, it says under the direction of the primary water operator,
yeah, no, it's,
direction of the secondary water.
there's been so many of them made up that may have been slipped in, like,
I apologize if I
That's all
printed the
right.
wrong one.
it'd be under the,
Slap him.
we're not sure exactly when the position's gonna, the main plant operator's position's gonna open up, due to the fact it seems like he's pushing off more now, maybe towards April or May. So, I don't know but I do wanna get somebody in there after the winter season, somewhere around March or so, to start learning, getting out in the field, and learning the aspects of it, so it makes the transition a lot easier. So as we go into the summer months, spring months, get more work done.
So you want to have somebody by March, is that what you said?
Around the March timeframe, yeah. I mean, winter time is a slow time.
So you'd have to post by
Yeah, the whole post and everything else.
the end of January.
Yeah, yeah.
So, this,
And
without objection from any other board members, probably be a good idea to post this thing. Probably, we get into the start of that, probably right after the holidays.
I think what's gonna end up happening, because unfortunately, it's gonna end up being a union thing, but it's still a
Right.
parallel one, that the pay grade, I guess, you thought is to bring it over, just the same pay grade on the outside, right? You guys would okay it, and then he'd ask Tracy, the union, is this
Just as a
okay? And then
temporary-
It'd be an MOA through John, and there's no real negotiation and pay fees, it's just the water has a laborer and the sewer has a laborer, just wanted, and so they'll pull someone in, right?
Yep.
That's what.
The rest of it goes as per the union guidelines
Yeah.
for the openings.
So where do we stand with the part-time, whatever we ended up with?
That nobody ever bid it.
Applied.
We didn't get any bites on it.
But we had in there enough that you could do full-time half the year essentially, right?
He could variate how we wanted to suit it for the good
But
weather and the good
Never
seasons.
got funded, because it was after, we would've had to fund it. If somebody grabbed it, we would've had to hire them and then just fund it into the
Thing is-
November meeting, but nobody ever took it.
It was posted twice.
Posted
Yeah.
twice and we never, thing,
So do we now have a position that isn't filled in the budget?
no. Just the maintenance, I think the old maintenance position line item's still in place, isn't it?
No.
What do we,
I thought when we discussed it, we had a position that wasn't filled and we had enough money.
You would have used the, what line is it?
It's in there. You should have a copy of the budget.
Okay, where is the budget stuff?
It's the differential pay. Each department has a 5,000 differential pay, and that's just if they don't have to pay the highway or any of those guys.
Yeah,
We would
but-
just use that to pay the majority of a part-time person and take out operating expenses for the 2,000 or 3,000.
differential, for
For the sewer, if they wouldn't pick somebody up now before the end of the year,
Yeah, that's, we don't have a,
you could use it out of the capital line.
there's actually one of we.
I don't know, we can't.
Technically, you can't.
You can't
go
transfer
between
from,
expense and
from expenses to
salary.
salaries. So we'll have to find out what our options are. Could you check into that, Jen?
Yep.
What are our options to
To
hire
fund
to hire a temporary, basically it's a temporary position until someone retires. So we don't have to wait until that day to get them started.
Yep.
When is Springtown meeting?
May,
May.
end of May.
We're also gonna be close to the May
It's
timeframe
late.
too, so if we have
It's
to delay
usually
a
right
little bit.
before
or something, we
the
can.
end of the fiscal.
But
I know it's usually May, I'm just trying to figure, I mean, you've got enough salary money in
Just
2
for
months to
May.
cover a position, and in May, you gotta get it over the town meeting to transfer into salaries. I'm just thinking that we have that position that we all approved for part-time. If you hired someone part-time, that may be interested in going into a full-time position.
Yeah, the only problem is it might pull them out of, if it comes from somebody in the town that wants it in the union, may pull them out of the union, going in that position, and they've lost their seniority at that point or something.
I'm not really worried about positions and where they're coming from. If we have the position available, hire someone, and if they're interested, there might be a good employee that bids on this job.
Try to beef it up a little bit to help incentive too.
Well, that was the other problem. With the part-time thing, it was locked into the town's rate.
Rate of 18.
For the full-time person.
I'm just saying if somebody's interested in getting into the position or career.
I guess we can see that. as we go.
Okay, so
I will look into that.
look into that, and then what our options are, and
Yep.
then we can, if we post it in January, it'll be after our next meeting anyway, so
Absolutely, I'll have.
between now and then.
But the only way to fund it is through town meeting.
Right, well, yeah.
I'll talk to Debbie,
See
just
if there's-
because she'll be able to tell me for sure, which,
Okay, budget review. We have a packet in here of,
we have 2 packets.
okay. We have receivables that Jen put together. And our budget, this is as of mid-November.
Yes.
And that, so we are at, so we're basically 5 months through the year. A little less than half.
What's the emails though? Nothing's been closed out for October?
That's the revenue.
The revenues, just found out today that there are, the last revenue report that's available is for September.
Which you had last month.
There's no revenue report for October or November. Hasn't been tabulated yet.
It's tough to balance a checkbook if you don't know what you're
Yeah, I don't know how we can have 2 months of no revenue report. I mean,
On the budget, what I...
especially with computers nowadays.
on just in the general budget, the easiest way to see where we stand is if you take a look at George's line item, the water superintendent, it says there's 62% left for the year, so we're 38% to the year.
Okay.
So things should roughly, ideally match up with that, minus some of the things that get paid to Rich, such as like the insurances are once a year or, odd times of the year where he has to pay it, but like the general expenditures and electrical and gas, it'll let you know where we're sitting, is the easiest way.
So there's no numbers, oh, there is a zero. What is a zero? Sewer maintenance is zeroed. Only $177?
It was a deadline item that happened to stay in the budget.
Okay. And indirects are zeroed out. That is,
They pull them automatically the 1st of July.
So who authorizes that? 'Cause
I inquired about that.
okay.
And Debbie said that it's an automatic, I know I printed it off a couple months ago. It's an automatic transfer over at the beginning of the year.
I don't know that they can automatically transfer without a voucher from the water department and the commissioner signing off to do the transfer.
It's been a problem right along.
So I
Yeah.
think that may be a question that we should pose to DOR, if that's a legitimate practice to transfer money without it being authorized by the board that oversees the funds for the department.
Right.
No money's supposed to be transferred without a voucher.
Are we gonna contact them? You know what?
I will call them tomorrow. Unless I'm, transfer money from one department to another without a voucher.
Do we get something from them saying how much they transferred?
It's whatever the budget is.
They zero
I
the
don't-
line item.
They just zero the line item. I don't get notification. That's just an automatic at the beginning. And
So if we run the budget and we put 0 for that line item, they just transfer 0? So, because we write the budget that they put in the thing, right?
There are line items in the budget that are filled in by the treasurer collector,
Cross them out, put a 0 initially.
and then it goes, and that usually goes from there right to the corner office for, yeah.
But if the budget we submit has a 0, and then they'll have to have the conversation in order to put it in, right?
Scott,
To do it by voucher.
did you get your questions answered about the ones in indirect? that you
Nope.
were-
We've received no information yet.
Especially the one that was the double one you were looking at?
Nope,
Okay.
still haven't heard anything.
Maybe we can
Thought
ask
you-
Monday's meeting.
See that.
The initial request for explanation of indirects was March of 2022.
yes,
Right,
yes.
yeah, and that hasn't,
All my correspondence and
We were given,
via email.
what you forwarded to me was something from 1996 or 99 that
right,
DOR,
the-
back then, what our needs were 35 years
it's
ago.
how the,
They determined what we should owe them and whatnot, and that had to do with the fire protection.
yeah,
It's archaic.
it's archaic, and the percentages don't line up with
Charging
today's
for
numbers.
positions that don't exist.
Right.
That was the question that I was. see if that
There were a
answered.
number of questions. And now we have questions about revenues, and, I didn't bring that piece of paper in. There was a list of things that we have questions from the town, the treasurer collector. The budget line item is the only place where we can discuss it, I guess. We have been getting I've gotten a number of emails over the last month, three from our engineering firm concerning the fact that bills,
Slow.
checks have been very slow to get out. Some of our contractors are waiting, finding that they're having to wait a considerable amount of time in order to get paid.
Are there ones on the stuff that's funded through SRF?
It's not just them, it's also our contractors that do regular work in the the course of our plant.
It's,
Back to
I'm
October.
saying that if it's SRF-funded projects,
we're in,
that puts you in jeopardy.
Yes.
That too,
Yes.
but we're
Losing-
also having
losing
issues
your
with
funding
regular
through
vendors
SRF.
too.
Right.
absolutely. And just to clarify, if I, just for my own, it's not, I get the voucher, I process it, and within a week, you guys come in to sign it. That's why I'm constantly emailing you.
Right.
And it goes to Debbie in her office, because we tracked the trail for one, we've tracked the trail for several.
It goes, Monday morning, it goes from us to the town accountant. The town accountant then creates a warrant, which goes to the selectman's office, selectman town administrator's office, for their signature. And then the vouchers themselves go down to the treasurer collector's office. When the treasurer collector receives the warrant, signed warrant from the town administrator, he then cuts the checks. I confirmed with the town administrator that on a daily basis, they sign warrants. If there's a warrant in the bin, in the tray for warrants, they sign them and get them downstairs. Then it happens on a regular basis.
Are they not getting the warrants?
It appears that there is a delay in the treasurer collector's office.
There's, the best way to say is a disconnect someplace. When George had to take a personal day the other day, and we all got the update from Jeff Faulkner about the updates of all the things. He had called me just to confirm a couple of things, and he had relayed some frustration or just seeing what happened. And what he was told is not matching up with what Scott's relaying. So I told Jeff he should probably put together an email and get it over to everybody.
He did.
And do that. That's.
So,
Is that a problem we can discuss with the selectmen at Monday's meeting?
I can tell you that they don't have any authority in that case. The treasurer collector is an elected position who is responsible only to, like we are responsible only to the electorate.
I can tell you that some of the contractors have come in and spoken with the selectman's office and town administrator's office and have gone directly downstairs as well to inquire.
I will say that there was a voucher that was signed on Monday morning for a bank payment to Unibank. It was dated in September, due October 15th. It was received in our office on November 29th. It has been signed and it's been moved along.
They processed.
That's for, I believe it was for a $130,000 payment to Unibank for water mains, whatever that is, whichever one of the loans. But it was dated from Unibank in September. It made it to us, due October 15th. It made it to us November 29th.
So I would assume additional interest in
I
late
would
fees
assume
applied.
it's, I would assume that it will be coming. I will keep my eyes open for that.
Where do the bills come in?
Me.
Well, that bill comes from,
Oh, that one went to the
that one goes
Because
directly
that-
to the treasurer
Because that's a
collector.
Yes.
borrowing,
Yeah.
it's gonna go
That's
directly.
paying off debt.
That's the treasurer too.
Is the treasurer going to be at Monday's meeting with the selectmen?
I don't-
Usually he isn't. At the end, he comes up.
Sometimes he's there, sometimes he isn't. What I would like to do, and if we could send a formal invitation to the town, the treasurer collector for our January meeting, January 3rd, I believe. And to discuss indirect costs, bills, and what was the third one?
Overdue bills.
No, the bills, overdue bills, timeliness of the billing process. The
Revenue?
Revenue.
I will send an email tomorrow morning.
Is anybody opposed to that?
Nope.
We can put that on our agenda, and hopefully the agenda will be light so that we can discuss that, because I know it's his wish to have a meeting, of just a couple of us, but that precludes anybody from asking questions. We have to have a posted meeting in order to be able to allow everybody the ability to ask questions. Okay. Anything, okay, so in looking at the budget so far, it looks like we're in pretty decent shape. Some of them, some of the lines are less than that 62%, basically 1/3. Some of them are much further. Water standby is down to 2% left over.
That's
Water
overtime.
overtime is
That's
yeah.
expected right now.
That's
We've had a lot of,
right, and that's under, yeah, that's
There was a tank project and everything else for the
Yeah.
last 4 or 5 months.
New
that's
systems
that's
going in and
understood. We're
always-
gonna have
yeah.
to move some money into that at some, Okay, all right,
That's, you want to talk about that, right?
any other questions on the budget
Some retainer.
so far?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can cover.
All right, superintendent's report. We've received it. I know I read through it.
I just wanted to go over a couple things. The engineering company has the contract for the culvert projects through the state. I've been providing them with a lot of information on our mains, as-built stills mains, history of the culverts, the stations, the treatment center. It's spent a lot of time giving them a lot of reporting on it, which has been very helpful, because that's all going to go to the state for approvals to see if the state will go with it. If that's the case, that'll take care of 3 of the culverts, the one at Station 6, the one at the sewer plant at the rail trail, and the one at Route 12 at Schofield Ave. And that'll help the flooding issues that's been going on there. And the only reason why the state's even looking at us, other than some of the other things they originally wanted to, is because of the treatment center and the water pumping station on that site. It's vital that station doesn't get impeded with flooding or anything. For water supply, PFAS, the contamination, everything.
Shut down the whole town.
Yeah. So all the reports went out there, including with the sewer too. If any infiltration in the sewer manholes or any water coming over the pond area from the rail trail. So they were pretty happy with that, so that right now that's in the hands of the engineer. I was going to have Jay Billings come in today. I wasn't sure I was going to be in, so I wanted to be here when he was here. We pushed him off over to January's meeting. We want to set up like a contract with him to get our aquifer protection maps set out and planned out, ready to go for the town planner, and get those presented at the town meeting so that we can protect some of these areas. Some of these areas have increased because I've got potential well sources that he's going to go over also that I want you guys to be aware of. I think I mentioned a lot of them before. And also, he's involved with our PFAS tracing program through the observation wells, Station 6 and 3, to see if we can start getting more in depth into finding out where this PFAS is coming from over that area. And right now, the town is engaged with the state on the dump and Eagle Drive and the Gentex properties for what's going on there, which I'm not going to get into, but there's a whole bunch of players now involved in this whole thing.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
The dump, the Eagle Drive area.
State, the Eagle Drive area,
Yeah.
I'll tell you, it's getting into legalities with what else is going on there, but we need to do our part too to see what we're coming up with at Station 6 site. Station 3, I'm fairly confident from the earlier readings that we're getting things off the French River area into that direction, but Station 6 is more off to that direction of travel from Eagle Drive and Potash Brook runs through Eagle Drive and up to West Main. So that's the other issue there too. So he's going to come in and make a presentation to the board next meeting on that. If there's any other questions you guys have on anything you read, you can ask me. A lot of it's pretty straightforward stuff. Some new projects are coming up and things are happening. Same with the sewer. A lot of activity with the sewer. We did lose our engineer, Charlie Gore, from Ty and Bond. He's off to better pastures. We're getting replacements, and she's already coming in to meet with him. I think next week we're going to meet with her. Because we got asset management. We also got some other state mandated things we want to get through. O&M manuals have to be made up. It's a lot like the water, getting all those state requirements done. So,
All right, number 16, the Mason Road PRV. Is the electric drop?
electric is coming, the meter's coming, that LaFleur is waiting to find the time to put it in. We have to organize it to put it, it stands out in the street. It's not something that hangs from a pole. The meter is actually mounted on 4 legs, and we're gonna put it right behind the sample site there, on the easement of the town property. So then there's a conduit that runs by the pole already into the PRV, and they'll tie it and put pigtails in the conduit, and that's their job. And Halleck takes it from there. His electrician comes in and finishes off the interior, all the interior stuff. The problem has been is there's parts have been lagging.
What are we looking at for a timeline as of today?
I called him beginning of this past week, and he was trying to get it in for next week.
Okay. So they're going to try it, well, hopefully by the end of the
Yeah.
year it'll be done?
Yeah, weather permitting, he's going to get he's getting it geared up. I know that's been a while, but it's just been...
What's the expected delivery time for the new dump truck?
They're talking to me like sometime in the summer, but they can't be sure.
Okay.
But it's all ordered, ready to go.
Oh, and number 11.
11.
We got half of the...
Yeah,
half of the MIA grant.
Yeah.
So we have to fund the rest?
Yeah, and if we don't fund the rest, we lose the whole thing. And I'm afraid if we don't do it, we'll negate ourselves for any future.
Can we fund that within the budget?
4,500, yeah. The problem is I really didn't want the trailer part. We've got a lot of trailers, but I mean...
Well, I mean, that's what we...
I wanted the safety equipment in it most of all. I was trying to see if we could do half of it and just get the grant part. They said they can't, they don't do it that way.
No.
So I'm kind of...
Oh, you need the trailer to be...
Yeah,
able to
I'm
stuff
leaning
around.
towards doing that because I don't want to bite our foot off despite ourselves and not qualify for anything else that might come down the pipe.
So did Maya issue an award for...
45.
Right, for
Yep.
the water sewer,
Yep.
but was any other department awarded anything?
I don't
Not that I'm
know.
aware of.
So they claim that they do $10,000, and that's one of their sales pitches to sell insurance to the town, but yet the last 2 years, they haven't funded the $10,000.
Half on the other one on our trench box, half, yeah. I noticed, well, because of the demand of all the other towns, you can't,
That's
that's
what
just
they
a
state.
gimmick. and I
But it
don't-
doesn't matter what the demand is. They
No,
offer-
it's
they
not a
offer
gimmick. That's-
$10,000
if
Put it out there and
for
you're
every
applying for
town.
$10,000.
And that's obviously covered in there.
I was going to talk
in
to
their
the
rates.
insurance guy about that because I'm not happy with that. That's
I
not,
can get you the contact for MIA.
I'd like to.
Okay, so in any case, funding the other half of that, are we able to do that in the budget, or we have to transfer money from, it'd have to be town meeting?
We use it as water, water
Water,
sewer.
Combination.
We can split it and
Split it off.
It's not gonna hurt us.
It's going to be for both departments
Well,
anyway.
It is water sewer, I mean, it's to...
Yes, it is.
It's for
So we can split it.
traffic maintenance.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
We might have to hire a part-time guy just to pull the trailers. I'm going to have more trailers and trench boxes
Okay.
than that.
All right. That looks good. Okay, it's outside the warrant, the agenda, but we did receive some information from Ty and Bond. One is a proposed schedule for the water main work from Station 8 now to Station 6 to start in May. It's pretty aggressive. Take a look at that.
They actually called me today about that. This pipe is actually going to be coming up next week. Or
Oh, really?
Maybe it is this Friday, 12-inch pipe. So We're gonna kind of split it off between the main station, a couple places they can put there, and Station 2. They can put it down behind, across from Station Number 3 in that big yard there. The remaining stuff.
You must also have plenty of room, because out at Station 3, you're talking about Station 3?
Across the street,
Across the street.
Okay, can that be secured?
yes.
So that,
I mean,
you know,
don't be,
kids aren't climbing on it or?
well, I mean,
That's their responsibility.
that's their responsibility. They shouldn't be involved.
Yeah.
We're gonna put
until-
caution tape in that around the area,
Okay.
just to make sure.
Until somebody gets hurt, and then it's, the town property is left, okay? All right, because, all right.
2,800 feet in the ground in Douglas.
There's, because, I'm sure, is there room down at the sewer plant to be able to get it behind the fence at least?
It's
I don't know that you want to put drinking water pipe at a sewer plant.
No,
It's
I don't.
Bringing the rig in there would be a pain in the ass.
Yeah, no,
Okay,
you
all right,
can't- I don't
all
want
right.
to.
Never mind, all right. Okay,
It just sounded like you blinked.
but yesterday we received a packet with the final change order. I don't know why they call it change order number 1, because we already approved the change order for the Station 7 temporary treatment with Barbado Construction.
Well, this isn't change order number 1, this is additional to change order number 1, because
Yes.
change order number 1 was voted on and approved.
I know, they threw a bunch of, I mean, I remember talking about the concrete pad removal. Then with the rupture disc is item number 1-2, PCO number 2. I remember that, we did discuss that. Concrete removal for electrical conduit, I don't ever remember discussing that. Project delay credit, okay. And then the heat trace alarms. Did you request that? Did you guys
Yeah, that
request
wasn't
that?
done adequately, so we want to make sure
Yeah,
we're
what it
protecting
is,
them.
It was missed or
Missed or
whatever else,
whatever,
but
yeah.
there's no alarming on it. So if it went off, then it would just freeze. There would be no way to know. But putting a audio alarm wouldn't do much either, because you're so far away. Is to put the flashing.
The flashing
light,
beacon, yeah.
Flashing red beacon, that always gets their attention.
We had the one at Station 6, but that would flash, people would call it, and that's in the woods, so.
Well, yeah, they see
We thought
glare.
that the two flashing, yeah, those two flashing would be sufficient to be able to get us out there and do it, so.
Do you have an alarm system at Station 3?
Yes.
Like,
Has a flashing red light on
But I
it.
mean, inside, if your pH and everything, it calls
Yeah.
you?
You call, yeah, well, that's.
Can you just tie it into a dry contact in the alarm system and have it call you?
For flow, overflow, that kind of thing. It goes off.
There's no design for that or anything else. I think this was the cheaper way than bringing in Cicada and Ericsson. And or if there was those connections.
Well, what called you? Is it through the SCADA?
Yeah, for the missions.
We had the flow meter activations for what turns on the red light for
So the,
spillage.
in this,
I don't know if that would be
the
disconnected.
bottom line is,
You can ask them which cheaper.
total value of all of the changes is $8,171.41.
And we don't break down the actual.
Yeah, there's a page here for each one of those things explaining exactly what everything cost. And they're looking for an approval so that this can be pushed to get it completed.
Just come inside and then change it to the inside.
What's that?
This is the alarm. This one, it's in there labor and the install. So then you get one way or the other.
Oh, yeah, the heat trace, it's all, that's the last two pages, the last page there, that checklist. I don't know what lightning protection, I don't know what the,
Could ask Danvers about doing that and see if they can see what their pricing is on that.
but in any case, what,
These guys are high. Very high.
part of me is not all that happy with it, but part of me just wants to sign it and get it out, get it done and be done with these people. So, what's the pleasure of the board? I know what your opinion is.
Yeah, I'm not voting for it, but in the contract for the temporary PFAS, is there any responsibility? And, like, they must own responsibility for their installation for a certain amount of time.
Yeah, there is a time
A
frame.
year.
I thought it was a year.
So if it's a year, they're on the
Against
hook.
negligence or things like that.
From
Standard.
from substantial completion, right?
Right. So.
That's up to them to safeguard everything for weather, because that's part of their responsibility on that
That's
whole.
what I mean. I mean, we're paying to make sure
That
that
thing
their
is safe.
installation doesn't fail.
Yeah.
So I don't know why we would pay to add additional stuff to make sure that what they're responsible for, you know what I'm saying?
Say we didn't do anything about it, and something happened and blew a pipe or whatever like
Oh,
that.
I know.
because of
We're yeah, we're in trouble, but they're on the hook for it. So we're paying to ensure their work.
I think-
Good point.
I think we should talk to Jeff Faulkner about that.
Yeah, I would just find out liability-wise, because like I said, they were required to insulate
Yeah.
and heat tape, right? I know you're worried about the heat tape failing, that's what the purpose of this is, but they're required to maintain that. And I believe they missed parts that are probably more likely to freeze that they didn't insulate. Some of the smaller tubings and stuff, unlike the rupture discs and stuff.
Well, this is just, the 5,000 is for us to put the alarm in, like, if we.
Is the alarm and light already in?
No. It
No.
was never had.
No.
No, but that's what I'm saying, is you're,
The other part is the PRV, they'll show the history of it, from my
Yeah.
understanding with, we had to put the rupture disc in there temporarily so we could get it up and running. We had a PRV, which cost us, what, $10,000-$12,000, that came in afterwards. From a discussion with Fall River Electrical, who was our subcontractor for the electrical, he got a call from Barbados saying, "We're done, come wrap it." Because and he confirmed, he said, you're completely done and everything else. Barbados said, yes, we are. They came, did the heat trace wrap and everything else, left no extra wrapping for the PRV. Barbados then called him later on, well, all right, we have the PRV and we need to wrap that. He's like, you need to have told me that before. So the initial thing for Barbados is to get one of those wraps that you put down in the cellar and you also put it there and bring it over across and put it into the outlet. And I told him, I can't have a cord, even if this works, across.
through winter while you're shoveling and cutting
Yeah.
it.
Or when and do
So
it.
they've already installed a conduit that's right next to it, and they have to take it off and re-wrap it. I said, I don't care if you wrap it with stuff and make it glow from I mean, you own it for a year. I mean, I'll end up making sure I work and get everything else, but you're gonna get a 3 AM phone call.
Yeah, so that's my point. Why are we paying extra to maintain their responsibility?
So that part is not heat traced like the rest of it?
No.
Right. So that falls on them that they didn't do it correctly.
Does Ty and Bond know about that?
Yep, we've been in discussions.
Okay, all right.
So, and all
I
of
won't
this kind
sign
of
this
ties
either,
around, ties around the same thing. So they got a time extension project delay credit. They're giving us $1,000 credit for that. But why did they need the time extension when they said the only thing holding it up was the PRV? And the PRV, we paid to put rupture disc in.
And the PRV came in before the rupture disc.
That's what I mean. So we paid, and it wasn't the PRV that was holding up the project. It was other
Other
fittings.
things. Yeah, that's right, there was other
Which in
things.
one of those meetings, I called and told them I could get them the parts the next day, and they said, we don't want to pay the price that you paid.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
And
at that
said-
meeting.
And I had said, so we'll
was
order
in
the
the big
parts, and then you just replace them. But they didn't want to do that. So before I agreed to any of this, I would request order slips from when they ordered the PRV, because if they didn't order it when they got awarded the contract, that's their negligence. Why are we paying for them not ordering things in time? And just like I said, I disagree with a lot of this whole thing.
Their supplier had no communication with them. I remember we were talking about that whole issue with them.
That's on them. But their
That's
supplier
it.
had no communication,
That's
so
not our-
why is he trying to stay true to them to buy from them when you could get it through other suppliers that have
Okay.
have the parts?
So, I know you won't
I
sign it,
voted
and
against it the
I'm not
first
gonna
time,
sign
I'm
it either,
still
so we
gonna
don't
vote
even have
against
enough
it
here to
this time.
sign it.
I'm gonna call Jeff tomorrow anyway, just to let him know that we're on the warpath for this stuff.
Okay, and then,
If he wants to come to the next meeting, we'll...
there
I
was
think he will.
also,
I think he will come
this
down.
came to all of us as an email, but there's a printed copy of it in the packet, of the updates on all the projects that are going on with Ty and Bond. It's pretty extensive, review it, and, you know, it'll keep you informed as to what the status is on each one of these projects. There's a lot going on.
The biggest thing.
And it's missing one.
What's it missing?
Have is,
The main project.
Oh, yeah, well, because we're not contracted with them right now.
I'm saying we're
we haven't
missing
got
one.
$200,000 for free.
You could have-
No, how would you do that?
Well, I got an example.
Yeah, the
Oh,
second,
you do?
the vessel,
Good.
Yeah.
the vessel comes in next week.
Is it next week? I was gonna tell them if they wanna see it, it's gonna come into Station 6 on a flatbed. I'll probably have him to drive it into it, because the last time the guy couldn't do any backing, but it's gonna be ready to go.
Okay, all right, board comments? Bob?
I'm good.
Tom?
I'm good.
Bill? I'm good. I'll tell you, the other day, I just all of a sudden thought, I haven't heard anything about water sewer in about 2 weeks. What's going on? And it just I got the jitters at work, and then made some phone calls, and things are going well for the most part. Let's hope it stays that way. Don't jinx it, yeah. Motion?
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned.